All right, this is our next episode of True Wrestling Fans Discussions. This is gonna be more of the pay-per-view retro series. We're gonna go over SummerSlam 1990. I'm your host, Mike.
And I'm Frank, and welcome. And let's get into it, man. This one was definitely, I would say, it was a little better than last year, the previous year's
Mhm.
1989. At least was this time around. This was the first time in SummerSlam history that the WWE Championship was defended. You had all three titles on the line, not like
Right,
SummerSlam
the way
'89
it
where it was
should
only
be.
one. Exactly. You had a what they say is a double main event, but we had a single main event and an undercard match. And Homeboy trying to steal the spotlight, stay in the ring a little more. I'll get to that when we get to the match. We had one match that was actually minuscule at that, but again, we'll get into it as we go along here. So here we go. Oh, an honorable mention, a dark match on this one. They had Shane Douglas actually versus Buddy Rose. Nothing impressive, but Shane Douglas was trying to
Oh
break his
wow.
way into the WWE.
Good luck with that.
Now you know why it wasn't on the card.
Yeah.
Our opening match was actually one that Vince did not want to cancel, despite the fact that Shawn Michaels was not medically cleared. No, he did not lose his smile. He did not, none of that garbage, not yet anyway. It was the Rockers versus Power and Glory. This was a great build-up to this match with Rockers and Paul Roma, and then Hercules that came out of nowhere turned heel. Of course, they really didn't know what to do with them, being a fan favorite. Shawn Michaels was not medically cleared due to his knee. However, they still had the match go on, which I kind of questioned it a little bit, especially when I saw it, because pretty much then I just had a glorified tag team match.
Yeah, it was a handicap match.
Yeah. What did I say?
A glorified tag match. It was just
My bad. I'm thinking two moves away. I'm
yeah.
sorry. But you could tell when he was running to the ring that he was hopping. He was hurt. And they, when the Power and Glory came down, they did the smart thing with jumping them, and then supposedly, you see the chain hit his knee, and then the whole thing there. Marty Jannetty actually did hold himself pretty good in this match with the two of them. It would have been a lot better, I think, if we saw it as a actual tag match rather than what we got.
They should have just
Uh,
canceled the match.
that's
In
what
my
I was
opinion, they should
saying.
just cancel it. Yeah.
I mean, there was enough tag teams on the roster
Yeah,
where surely Power and Glory could have had another match.
no,
I mean, the Bushwhackers, could have taken over. I mean,
I don't.
anybody could have been in there.
Yeah, it was a shame. It's a shame because Rockers are a great tag team and Power and Glory was pretty underrated. So
And yeah,
yeah.
they're one of my favorites at the time. And I was, we've gone over this. I was pissed off that they didn't do anything when they squashed them a lot of
Yeah,
times.
they didn't do anything with them, and they were a good heel tag team. They should have had a run before the Nasty Boys. Even though the Nasty Boys, okay, they had a name in WCW, but I would prefer Power and Glory over the Nasty Boys as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly. I would have rather Power and Glory gone to WrestleMania 7,
Especially
got the tag title match, and then even if you lose them to LOD,
right, it's
later on.
considering the work that Paul Roma and Hercules had put in their careers in the WWE.
Exactly.
They
Hercules was
deserved
there
it.
about 6, 7 years. Roma about 5.
Let me tell you, listen, have you ever seen somebody do a better dropkick than Paul Roma?
Not really, no.
Paul Roma has a great dropkick. He
Their
has a
finishing
really
move
good.
was even nice too.
Yeah,
I mean, you have to time that
yeah,
almost perfectly to get that splash after the
yeah.
suplex.
And they got a bit of a pop too. And I don't know
Yes,
if
they did.
it just is because they were over or just because Paul Roma's from New York, but they got a pretty decent pop.
Yeah, and they
Being a
were
heel, being a heel
they
team.
were in Philadelphia.
Yeah, in the Northeast. So Roma's from Long Island, right? I think he's from Long Island.
Yeah,
He's somewhere. He's from. I know he's from the
somewhere
Northeast.
somewhere on the
He's
island.
from the Northeast. He's from the Northeast. I know that.
And people still Hercules was still a draw. People still liked him regardless. I mean,
They work. They look good together. They look good together. They look
exactly.
like
And
legit
Slick was a good manager with them.
Slickster. Yeah.
So I mean, I just wish we would have gotten a full-fledged match here instead of what we did. But again,
Yeah.
no, not taking anything away from Marty Jannetty. He handled himself pretty good in the match,
Mhm.
but the numbers game caught up. 6 minutes even on this one. Power and Glory gets the victory. Their first, match together. And again, it's just a shame. One, they didn't have a big run together. It was about a year and a half, if
Yeah.
that. And then two, they weren't ever given a title shot. So that's a shame. Well, they did, but it never counted because the Rockers never were the champions.
So
In any event, we go to our next match, which was supposed to be it was the Intercontinental Championship match. It was supposed to be Mr. Perfect versus Brutus the Barber Beefcake. However, the SummerSlam jinx came into effect again.
The curse of Beefcake. But this was the bad one, right?
Yes.
This was the sailing boat accident?
Yes.
Yeah, this was the bad one.
The bolts, the screws, the face. I mean, it was tragic, man. I'm still really shocked that even after all that time, it was about, 3 years almost, he got back to the ring.
Yeah.
I mean, I was really shocked that he did it. But, I mean, this was really a sad moment for him. And, I mean, this was like literally right before SummerSlam was to air, and they had just signed the Texas Tornado, and Vince McMahon made a fast decision. You know, let's put Kerry Von Erich in the match against Mr. Perfect, and it was actually a pretty decent match to an extent. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of offense from Tornado in this, and you know, it gets to the point where Perfect is smacking him, and I'm Mr. Perfect, and blah blah blah, and you know, he throws him into the post, and then you know, puts the claw in the discus punch, and Texas Tornado wins the Intercontinental Championship. It was a 5-minute, 15-second match. Could it have been a bit longer? Yes.
The problem is Kerry Von Erich had already lost his foot at that point, so he's very compromised physically. He couldn't do the stuff that he did back in Texas. And
if you notice, you could see by the boot, the extension kind of on the bottom of it. You could see that there was. It's a shame that he had it.
It's a shame because he was a good wrestler. He had a great look, very charismatic too. It's just physically he wasn't what he was before that accident.
And I mean, you know, he survived in the WWE little under 2 years,
something like that. Yeah.
So, but I mean, once after this push, there was nothing for him.
No, he literally drops. What does he drop the belt a month later? Something like that.
No. He had it at Survivor Series.
He was the IC champion at Survivor Series?
Yes. It was. They had the WWE champion Warrior, was the Intercontinental champion Tornado, and the Legion of Doom. Yeah. They were both. He dropped it in December.
Okay.
Thanks to DiBiase. That was the next feud that never took off because the two of them never had a pay-per-view match.
Yeah.
And then
perfect. If you're gonna take the belt off of him, it should have been at the Royal Rumble or something.
Yeah, let him have a longer run with it. Because then I think Tornado goes to WrestleMania 7, fights, I think it was Dino Bravo.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was just like, at this point, it's like, you got nothing for him.
Yeah.
So, it's unfortunate. But he wins the Intercontinental title, like Brutus Beefcake was supposed to do again. And it's a shame because I think Brutus would have been a great champion.
At that point, yeah, he was over. I mean, well, that was what? This was 90?
He was more over than he was 2 years prior.
Yeah, I kind of felt like he was losing a little bit of momentum. I felt like he was a little bit more over. I don't know.
I thought he gained it after he beat Perfect at WrestleMania because he beat the supposed undefeated.
Oh, that was so
Perfect.
stupid. That was so stupid. But yeah,
what the
ending Mr. Perfect streak like that?
Hitting the post or whatever.
Ending his streak. Period.
Oh, just ending it. I mean, everything's got to end. I mean.
Yeah, but to Brutus the Barber Beefcake, when you were pushing, your Perfect was getting that mega push.
Well, he was coming off the mega push because remember, you know, this was at post.
Hulk Hogan. But he wins the IC title right after that, so that didn't make any sense. He loses undefeated streak, then he wins the IC title.
And then you're going to take the title, supposedly take the title off of him a few months later. To
bad
Brutus.
Booking. That's just bad booking. But
like anything's changed now.
So
another 14 gone, by the way. In any event, our next match never happened. It was Sapphire versus Sherry Martel, which I don't know about you, but damn, Sherry made me jump with that with them stretch marks on her freaking neck. She looked like a rabid cat.
Scary Sherry. She was hilarious. The makeup that she had on.
She takes it to a whole new level.
No, man. She was great on the mic, man.
She was.
I think Sapphire just didn't want to get her ass whipped. That's why she didn't show up. I don't even think it had anything to do with we found out it was DiBiase later, but I think she was scared.
Let me ask you this: leading up to SummerSlam with that storyline, did you ever figure out prior to this that it was him? Because I had a feeling. Because I'm like, all right, who else in the WWE has all this money?
You know what?
Can pull this off.
Yeah, but you know what it is? It's been so long that I don't. To be honest, I don't even remember.
It's only 31 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Like yesterday.
I don't even remember like what I thought. I don't remember.
I just remember watching the Superstars where she got the trip around the world, and I'm like, okay, that's it. This sounds like a $1 Million Man thing because he hadn't been seen for a while. So I'm like, I wonder what they're. And then they didn't even put him on the card too, so which would bothered me because I mean this guy was seriously coming downhill after '88.
I like the countdown though. When they're counting down, Sherry grabs the mic and she's like, "Sags, Sags," and I was like,
"Oh my god,
that was hilarious." Piper on commentary. Without Heenan, I wasn't crazy about his commentary. Without Heenan, I felt like it was like a little shaky. And then Piper. And is this the one where Piper was kind of like, he was kind of, I don't want to confuse. I think this is the one where he's kind of like being kind of like a heel, but then he kind of turns babyface commentator.
Yeah, he was a little back and forth. He was a
little back and forth. Yeah, he wasn't, right? Which was strange because, I mean, this has been so many years, but I remember him when he left at WrestleMania, he was a babyface.
Yeah, and then I mean the one match he was a true babyface commentator in this was the Bad News Brown match, obviously because they had heat, at WrestleMania, so he was kind of favoring his opponent a little bit. But yeah, I kind of noticed a little bit that, I mean, because you always have to have the one good commentator, and the one bad.
I think it's when
Bobby kind of trying to be like Bobby.
I think it's when Bobby's not there, when Bobby steps out. Oh no, but wait, was Bobby even in this one? This is 90.
Yeah, because Rick Rude, Mr. Perfect, he was managing, so he wasn't really commentating per se. Because remember now Ventura's gone because WrestleMania 6, so Piper stepped in for that, and then they moved Heenan, got rid of the Heenan family, and went into the. Because remember the year later when we get into '91, to me that was the best trio right there was Piper, Heenan, and Gorilla because I was laughing half the event listening to the three of them. I mean, it's
not the same without Ventura, man. At this point,
no, it wasn't because him and Gorilla up to this point, it was just the two of them, and let's try to block out the Schiavone era.
Oh Jesus!
But yeah, exactly. So this is the first pay-per-view without Jesse Ventura.
Yeah.
So and then Piper's not wrestling at this point, not yet anyway. He had the hip injury.
He was being kind of a heel. I don't know if it's during the Warrior match. He's kind of like, what is he? No,
I thought during that one he was favoring Warrior more than
he was favoring Warrior. Yeah, that's right.
So, but I think the Hogan match too. He was kind of criticizing Hogan for what he was.
It was that match. Yeah.
Well, he never liked Hogan.
Well, maybe he never. But then again, he never liked Hogan. So then, yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, he was like, yeah. It was the Hogan match. Yeah.
I think at one point he wanted to say, "Stop trying to slam him, you dummy."
Yeah.
Hell, even I was saying that. So now the match that never was, we go into a match that really shouldn't have been either. Tito Santana, this poor guy,
Jesus,
versus the Warlord.
That was a waste of match.
Yeah, exactly. Because again, this was a throw together match because there was no heat between the two. He fought he fought Powers of Pain in two pay-per-views. He fought the Barbarian in WrestleMania 6. He fights the Warlord here. Now he held his own a little bit, but 5 minutes 28 seconds. They really squashed Tito here, and Warlord just dominated the match and won it. And
I think he gets his revenge though at Survivor Series.
Survivor's the grand finale match.
He hit him with the flying. Right away, right off the bat.
The flying jalapeno. El Paso de Muerte. Oh my God! Don't get me started on Bobby Heenan. Okay, Reba, dish one out, boy. Oh God. In any event, squash match for Tito. Unfortunately, Warlord gets the win. He looked like a steroid-ridden Steve Austin at this point. So now we get to a match that bothers me. Because this was the tag team title match, 2 out of 3 falls, Demolition versus the Hart Foundation. Now, go back, everybody, and check your history books of 2 out of 3 fall title matches. If you get a disqualification in one of them, you win the match, but you don't win the belts. Hart Foundation won the belts off of Demolition's disqualification in the second fall. I was outraged by this. Not to mention the fact I was also outraged the fact that it wasn't Axe and Smash in this match and it was crushed. But this match was one of the best. I think besides the main event, this match had a huge pop from the fans because Hart Foundation and Demolition. But a disqualification and the title still changed hands. Come on, what is this? I don't know. Demolition got the first fall real quick against the Hart Foundation. They get disqualified for the second fall, evening it up. And then, thanks to the Legion of Doom, ruining my tag team, they come out, distract them. Hart Foundation get the third fall. They win the tag team titles for the second time. And Demolition is outraged. And this is pretty much the end of them. And
yeah, it was over. It was over after that. We already discussed that.
Once the Legion of Doom got there,
yeah,
and we've talked about it. But I mean, what's your take on it? Disqualification. They shouldn't have had the belts.
Not according to the WWE rules, because the same thing happened with the British Bulldogs versus Demolition on Saturday night's main event. They won a fall, but then they won a DQ, and then they wouldn't give them the titles.
So I don't understand how this slips through the cracks.
I think they didn't care at that point. They're like, yeah, whatever.
I think Vince. I think at this point Vince was having the issues with Demolition, and this is where he took the belts.
Oh, he was pushing. He was already pushing them out. So.
I think the only reason why he had to put the belts on him at WrestleMania was because Andre was on his way out. He was already 1 foot out the door.
Yeah.
Even though he did try to come back a year later, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
But I don't know, 14 minutes, 24 seconds. The match was good. I mean, like I said, the crowd was really into it. But again, the disqualification to me just ruined the whole thing. And not taking anything away from the Hart Foundation, they were great champions. I didn't like who they lost it to later. But, I mean, just winning it this way was no. And then later on that year, they do the same thing. They did the thing with the Rockers where the match never even took place because of the top rope. I mean, if you're going to do it once and it didn't work, do it again. If this was your plan, do it. But whatever. I'm not going to get totally heated on it. In any event, our next match was a special guest referee, Big Boss Man. It was Jake the Snake Roberts versus Bad News Brown. Now, this is what I thought was funny because the Harlem Sewer Rat,
God.
that was a freaking possum, right?
Yeah, it was a possum, yeah.
You and I know forget what Harlem Sewer Rat, we know what a sewer rat looks like. We're from New York.
They're like the size of cats in the train station.
They're freaking beavers.
Yeah.
There's one that, I'm serious, a quick side note, there's one that lives on the F train, 9th Street. We called him Lucky because that third rail hit him 3 times over his life. He's got no left eye and he limps. The last time I was in New York, somebody said they spotted him. They got his picture up on the train station. But when they showed the sewer rat, that was a damn possum. I mean, come on. Really? Insulting New Yorkers. Now, this was actually Bad News Brown's last match in the WWE. Because after this, he exited. Everything he was promised, never given. But then again, he wasn't that good anyway, to me. I didn't like him. I thought he was overweight, and they couldn't do anything with him. His finishing move was a joke, too. I mean, come on.
I like the Ghetto Blaster. I told you that before.
Nah, I know. So this was the Snake versus the Rat. And anyway, 4 minutes, 44 seconds. This was another. Now, here's the best part. Now, Jake Roberts wins by disqualification. But I love how many times that Boss Man didn't count the DQ in the beginning of the match until finally at the end, after the, 5th or 6th chair shot, he counts it. I mean, this pay-per-view was just, the officiating was just ridiculous. And so Jake Roberts gets the win by DQ. Another match that really, they had a storyline to it, but this was a squash feud. They could have done something else with Jake. In any event, Jake Roberts gets the victory. Our next match was another one that I didn't care for. It was a throw-together tag team against a team that you had such high hopes for, but then you buried instantly. Jim Duggan and Nikolai Volkoff versus the Orient Express. Need I say more?
This is when they turned Nikolai Volkoff American, and I guess was he feuding with Sergeant Slaughter? Or he was about to feud with him? Well,
Slaughter did the Brother Love show that night, and Slaughter made his intentions that he was the first guy.
Right.
I mean, they had their Survivor Series feud match, but that was about it.
Yeah, he cut the promo and he was putting Saddam Hussein over, and watching it's bad. Watching this now is bad. I don't know why the hell they did
because that. Sergeant Slaughter wasn't the type of guy that deserved to be in the main event slot.
No, but not only that. I mean,
or being the sympathizer.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, I know it's a storyline, but just back then, that wasn't. That's the reason why they had to move the show from the
Coliseum to the Civic Center. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you watch this, they actually advertised.
Yes, I saw that.
The LA Coliseum.
Yeah, my son was like, "Hey, wait a minute, we never saw that." So that's because it wasn't there. They moved it. It was supposed to be an outdoor,
Right, but
60,000
it
possibly.
was gonna
But
be
yeah,
huge record setting, and the
not with
crowd
that
was
main event. It wouldn't have been. I'm sorry.
not
I
really,
mean,
but
we've said it.
but it wasn't even that. It was the security concerns because of they thought there was going to be threats and it was going to cost too much money in the stadium to get that amount of security in the stadium for that kind of crowd, and it's because they went with that stupid Iraqi sympathizer storyline, and by the time it actually happened, I think the Gulf War was already over.
Just about, yeah.
Because this was during Desert Storm, I think. This was before Desert.
Well, that was
This
like
is Desert Shield.
the 6 day war.
This is during Desert Shield. Initially.
Was this when they surrendered to a CNN crew? I think this was the one.
I think that
or
was
maybe that was in '91.
No, it was during the war. This is before the war. This is during Operation Desert Shield. They don't go to war till the winter of '91 until like February, January, whenever it was.
Yeah, like you said, it was so
no, it
long
just wasn't
ago.
good. It wasn't good. It wasn't a good move. So.
I do remember reading the article that Slaughter was so happy that the gimmick was now over and that he was going to turn fan favorite.
Yeah, he didn't like
right after the following SummerSlam.
He
was like, "Oh, thank you."
He didn't want to do it.
It didn't work. I mean, the Triangle of Terror, all right, fine, but I don't know. I just did not see him in the main event spot.
No, then we'll get into SummerSlam '91 and how
there's a lot to cover with SummerSlam '91. In any event, this was another 3-minute, 22-second match. Duggan and Volkoff get the win, and it's unfortunate because the Orient Express by this point are just literally being squashed.
This is the second incarnation of the Orient Express, or the first? No,
this is the original.
This is the first one. Okay.
Before Sato left.
Okay.
And it was Kato, Paul Diamond from AWA. You know, so he's not even Asian under the mask. That's the best part. But he was Tanaka's partner once before, so they put them together. They were bad company, managed by DDP.
Well, Chief J Strongbow wasn't Native American; he was Italian.
So. Muhammad Hassan wasn't Arabic.
Right? It's not the first. It wouldn't be the first time. It wouldn't be the last time.
Exactly. Well, I don't know. By this point, there's nobody left.
Yeah.
Next year, they might as well have a 10-man Royal Rumble. In any event, now we go to an even shorter match: Dusty Rhodes versus the Macho King Randy Savage. Now, I don't know the reason why they made this match so short, other than if Dusty his head wasn't in it when he found out that it was Ted DiBiase.
Yeah, because of Sapphire.
By this point, you've really killed Dusty Rhodes if you hadn't already in the year that he's been there. Because, I mean, he had a great feud with Savage. I liked it. But this match, to end the feud, I thought was trash. And again, if it was the storyline to go with Sapphire and DiBiase, the next step, all right, fine. But 2 minutes, come on.
Yeah.
And two former world champions going at it. Even the crowd was upset by this. I mean, they weren't into this. Savage gets the easy victory, which is going to lead him down the path to the Ultimate Warrior after this. But I mean, I don't know. It was what it was. Our next match was a 13-minute encounter. This was according to Fink, the first half of our double main event. To me, it was the undercard to the main event. Right. This was not a main event match.
Before we trash Hogan.
Oh, I'm not going to do that.
I'll say this: watching it now, it's different, right? Watching it now, you're like, this is ridiculous. As a kid, I wasn't upset that Hogan was coming back. And
nobody was.
And I remember being legitimately concerned when Earthquake crushed him.
Yes.
And they did the Hulk Hogan tribute video, and people were writing in for Hogan. And so I try to kind of take myself back to how I was when I was a kid.
It's really hard to, though, now.
No, it is. But I'm saying, like, as a kid, I was happy to see Hogan back.
Oh, yeah.
I thought the buildup was actually really good. This is when he what did he leave? Suburban Commando, was it? Did he leave to film Suburban Commando? Is that why he was gone for a little while?
Yeah.
I think it was, right? Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Well, that's another story. But no, the buildup was fine. It's just that now as adults, we look at it, we're like, okay, you gave Warrior the belt. You're kind of undercutting him and taking the spotlight off of him, because when they were promoting this, it was just like Hulk Hogan's return. It wasn't like, Warrior defends the title. And I think
there was more talk about this match than there was the Warrior Rude match.
That's what I'm saying. But unfortunately, not for nothing, we already saw Rude the year before twice. And so I did like, we'll get to the Rude match. They never had a bad match. That's not my point. No, my point is you were kind of giving us the same thing, and Hogan versus Earthquake was new. Then, and Hogan was coming back. So you didn't do the Warrior any favors. You made Warrior the guy, but you didn't really put him in a position to be the guy.
Yeah. No, you're right. Because even after this match, how long was it that Hogan stayed in the ring that he wouldn't leave? And
he had a pose.
Yeah. And I'm over here yelling at the TV.
Wasn't he going to leave?
Yeah, he was going to leave, and then he stayed. And then I'm yelling at the TV like an idiot, going, dude, you're not the last match. Get out of the ring.
But you know what? We could blame Hogan all we want, but I remember, and I think this might actually be true. What's his name? Bruce Pritchard has said on numerous occasions that Vince McMahon was adamant about Hulk Hogan posing.
Always.
That he was adamant, like Hogan has to pose after the match.
Because it's always a huge pop from the crowd. They loved it.
Right, exactly.
I mean, as kids, we loved it too.
No, we did. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm sure you were at the TV like I was. The whole thing.
I was doing that. Yeah.
As kids, we loved it.
Yeah.
Now this match, however,
it's kind of a stinker,
this was worse than Lex Luger Yoko. I mean, if you think about it, as far as a count out goes,
I don't know if it was worse than like Luger.
He tried to slam him through the table and
it doesn't break. It doesn't break.
He barely got him on
because he didn't get him all the way on it.
I think his hip hit it, and then the table just kind of tips over.
Yeah.
The one thing I liked is when Boss Man had the step stool, and he's whacking away on him, and he's really whacking him. Now, remember, it was supposed to be Hacksaw Jim Duggan at ringside. Duggan got injured as a result of the earthquake, so Big Boss Man assumed it, which I thought was funny because a year prior you guys just finished your feud. And now all of a sudden he's your buddy.
Now he's your best friend.
Yeah, exactly.
He's your best friend.
So, those hits that he took were legit, and I like that.
Isn't it funny how like you're saying a year before? Remember they had Hogan handcuffed and Boss Man was beating him.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I mean, all of a sudden he's your best friend, but you don't remember what you went through with the whole.
I guess they put
powers and mega powers.
I guess they put it behind them.
Yeah, sure they did.
So,
but I mean, the match, yes, it was a stinker. He kept trying to slam him, and then like you said, Piper was like, "Stop!" And then all of a sudden he does it, but you don't see Earthquake jump into it, and you go, if you're the FBI, you're going, "Oh, that's interesting," because he literally just picked
he scooped them. He scooped them up. Yeah,
where normally you see them jump into it.
Right.
So, yeah, this was a good push for Earthquake to face a guy a caliber like Hulk Hogan. You
know what? I'm thinking they should have won with Earthquake versus Warrior.
I could have saw it because they had their beef.
They had their little as well. They had their little thing. They could have gone into a main event program with Earthquake versus Warrior.
I think it was because Rude was before his contract was up. He was contractually obligated to get a title shot.
That's right.
And we all know Hogan would not give it to him.
Yeah.
So they put him in there with Rude, and they actually tried.
They were trying to re-sign him. That's right. Forgot about that. Yep.
Because he was supposed to be a Survivor Series on Perfect's team. Now, what I thought they should have did here, and this is not diminishing Warrior in any bit, put the title on Rude at this point, and then say 1991 Royal Rumble, Warrior wins it back, because we've said numerous times that WrestleMania 7 Warrior should have won as champion.
Yeah.
But because of the whole Iraqi thing, they weren't totally squashed plans.
But they weren't going to take the belt off him that quick. It would have been too quick of a. Especially you had that Hogan had that run. They wanted Warrior to go on a similar run. Then they went a different direction. But
yeah.
So Hogan wins by count out. That's how he wins this match.
Yeah, Earthquake was counted out.
Dino Bravo was in his corner, right? Was in Earthquake's corner.
Yeah. He was constantly getting involved. So was Boss Man. That I was laughing because he slams him on the table. He misses the table. The table just
hilarious.
It doesn't even break.
It doesn't break, and it kind of it tips over.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh man, Botchamania.
Yeah, seriously. So I mean, this was what it was. Hogan wins by countout, spends 25 minutes in the ring posing, forgets that there's a main event, probably didn't care. But in any event, now that we're done with the egomaniac, we move on to the main event. Yeah. The first time at SummerSlam that the WWE Championship is being defended, the Ultimate Warrior versus Ravishing Rick Rude inside the confines of the steel cage. I didn't like this steel. Well, back then I did because it was the only one we saw, but I liked it better when they moved to the fence cage as opposed to this one.
Yeah, I mean, back then, that's what we had, so we didn't know any better. So we just, the blue, the big blue cage.
Yeah, it was what it was. And I mean, this is where we saw, once again, they show you that he's doing the whole build up, the Rocky vignettes. And I mean, Rude looked tremendous.
Probably the best shape of his career. He got a little. I think gets a little bit. He bulks up a little bit.
Yeah, he did.
He just looked in tremendous shape.
He definitely showed off those 6-packs. He cut his hair. Got rid of the porno look.
Yeah, he looked like a '90s wrestler now.
Exactly. This is what WCW. It's like we prepped him for WCW to be a run as a champion.
Yeah.
And I'm just ashamed that we didn't have it here. And we did the Uncrowned episode.
It really is. He did everything that he had to do to put himself in that position, and they give him the title shot, and then
and still even after that, Hogan said, "Oh, he's done, brother. He doesn't deserve another one." Yeah. And I'm like, "What is your problem with him, dude?"
He didn't like him. I think they wrestled like one time, I think.
Yeah, beginning of '88, before he dropped the title to Andre, he defended it at the Boston Garden. And he went back and told Vince, I'm not wrestling.
I'm never wrestling this guy ever again. Yeah. He was too rough with him, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and this goes back to the first Survivor Series too, when they got in the ring together.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there was beef there. That's why when Hogan got to WCW, they had the two champions. He said, I only want one. They were thinking about Rude. He said, no, I don't want him as champion. And Rude loses the belt to Sting.
He wanted to. And then Rude's career ends because of the back.
Unfortunately, yeah. So, I mean, this guy had bad luck with Hogan killing it. And, I mean, this match was good. Don't get me wrong.
It's a good match.
We've never seen a bad Warrior Rude match. There were times where I really think he could have gotten out of the ring rather than continue to beat down Warrior. But obviously the script says, no, you're not getting out of the ring. You're not winning the match. I love when Heenan got dragged into the ring. Heenan always oversold Warrior's punches and stuff, even though Warrior was trying to hurt him. So I love in the beginning of the match, Warrior coming in, getting up on that cage. I mean, it looked like he was going to break the damn thing. But, I mean, this was a good match. 10 minutes, 5 seconds. Unfortunately, a little shorter than Hogan's match. Gee, I wonder why. Because Hogan was out there for 30 minutes. Warrior is successful in his first pay-per-view title defense against Rick Rude. And I even love, as he's leaving the cage, he does the little shimmy, mimicking him. Warrior gets the win, and unfortunately, it was 2 months later that Rude decided to leave.
Yeah.
Even though he was slated to be Perfect's partner, it was supposed to be Perfect, Rude, and Demolition, but when he opted out of his contract, then they put the third member of Demolition in there, which is unfortunate because I really wish Rude would have stayed on.
Yeah, Rude was great. And Warrior, at this point, Warrior was over, and
he was becoming bigger than Hogan.
At that time, time, for sure. 90, yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even into 91, when we get into that, I think he got a bigger pop in that ring than Sid got a bigger pop too, by the way, but Warrior got a bigger one than Hogan. And we'll get into that when we get to 91.
Yeah. So overall, there was a good SummerSlam, entertaining.
Better than 89, mainly because we had
the titles, the real title matches. Yeah, so this was solid. This was definitely
except the tag match, which again I'm not going to go back into it, but I mean I've said what I said.
Yeah. All right, well that's SummerSlam 1990. We'll be coming at you with SummerSlam 91. So you make sure you guys let us know what you think about this SummerSlam. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys soon.
Take care, guys.